Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. It's easy to look around at other people and see areas that they're gifted in, see things that they're able to do, see things that, they've worked their whole life to get towards. And then when you look at your own life, you see missing pieces everywhere. You see no skill, you see no, talent, no ability to do anything. And you're left wondering, well, how can I do anything with my life? How can I, become someone great when I don't have any natural talents, when I don't have money or skills or anything of the sort? And it's easy to get caught up worrying about the things you don't have. And even certain callings that God will give you, you wonder, how can I ever achieve this? I have no skill in this field. Why am I, what can I possibly do with my life? What is it that I'm able to achieve? Am I just supposed to be a nobody, working a nothing job, going nowhere? What am I supposed to do with my life? Well, like everything, God's answered this before. People have gone through this question hundreds of times before. And I think there's some, solace you can find in the fact that you're not the only one struggling through this. And, it's so important that God puts it in the Bible. In the book of Exodus, when the Lord's calling Moses to go back to Pharaoh and to free the Israelites, if you go to chapter 4, well, it starts at chapter 3. God's telling Moses to go to Egypt. And Moses is creating all these excuses on why he can't go. Every time God says go, Moses is like, well, I can't do this. I don't have this. I'm not skilled. I can't speak right. He's giving all of his excuses on why he can't do something. And in chapter 4, it's amazing, after God tells him to go, it says, "And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thy hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it to the ground. And he cast it to the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, Put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they might believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee." One verse in particular there my dad pointed out to me. Verse 2. "And the Lord said unto him, What is that in thy hand? And he said, A rod." What is that in thine hand? We get caught up with what we don't have, what we're not able to do, and how we don't have something to give to God or give to the world. And when we tell God that, he says, What is in your hand? What do you have in your hand? God can turn it into a serpent. God can use it for anything he wants. Do you have a 9-to-5 job? Give it to God. He'll use it. Do you not even have a car to your name? Do you just take Ubers to work? Give that to God. He'll use it to preach to that driver. Do you not have a job? Give it to the Lord. He'll use your free time. Whatever it is you have, what you think you are lacking is something that you have. Anything in life that you think you're missing, anything that you think you come up short with. Oh, I don't have a good job. I don't have good skills. I don't have a good family. I can't speak right. I don't have good health. Every single bad situation gives you an opportunity to meet a specific type of person. Gives you time, gives you energy, gives you a certain field of people to work with. Whatever you have and whatever you're doing right now, give it to God. What is in thine hand? What is in your hand that you can give the Lord? See, he doesn't ask for much. He doesn't ask for you to design some perfect, product or have some amazing skill or go to college for a very specific reason. He says, open your hand and I will use what you currently have. Because I gave it to you in the first place. I'm God. You didn't have that lack of skill of your own problems. I made you have that lack of skill. I designed you this way so that it could bring me glory. And so you could see my glory through you. You don't have to worry about what you're lacking in life. You don't have to worry about what your next step is going to be, by all means, pray for it. By all means, try to achieve stuff in your life. If God has given you a skill, use it. Don't squander it. It's like the parable of the talents. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but in Matthew chapter 25, starting at verse 14, going to verse 30, he talks about parable of talents. And to give a brief overview, it's a master who calls the servants, and he gives 1 5, 1 3, and 1 1. 1 5, 1 2. It's 5 2 1 3 something. Where is it? 2. So he gave one of his servants. I can't even count right. See, I don't even have a skill in counting, but it's okay because I can still preach through this. He gave one of his servants 5 talents, which is a form of currency, I believe, back in the day. So think of it as like $5,000. He gave one of his servants $5,000. He gave another servant $2,000, and another servant $1,000. And he went away for a time, and when he came back, the servants presented to him what they had done with that money. And the one that was given 5 was like, hey, here, master, I took your 5, I invested it, I worked on it, and here's 10 back. And the master said, well done, my good and faithful servant. One who was given 2 came back and said, I've multiplied it, I've put it to work, and I got 2 more. And the master said to him as well done, my good and faithful servant. And the man who was given 1 said, I was afraid, so I hid it in the ground. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't want to lose it. I was afraid to use it. I figured I had it, and I wanted to keep it. So here's your 1 back that you gave me. And the master was angry with that servant, and he casts him out. He gets rid of him. Now, at first glance, it may be easy to see that, that was because, that servant didn't, he only had 1. He was only given 1, and the one who had 5, was the better one of all the servants. But if you look at that story, the man who was given 2 was in there for a reason. And if you look at it, the master gives the exact same praise to the man who had 5 and got 5, and the same praise to the man who got 2 and had 2. It's because what God gives you, he asks you to work with. He doesn't tell you to do more than what he gives you. He says, I've given you 5, now work with those 5. I've given you 2, work with those 2. I've given you 1, just because you have less than other people, doesn't mean you have an excuse not to work with it. A pastor of a church with 100 people is no less of a pastor than someone who has a congregation of 1,000 or 10,000, or has an internet following of millions. Those 100 people are just as valuable as those million people. Every one of those 100 is one person. Every one of those 1 million followers is one person. You're working on that lawn for your job, cutting that lawn. You can do that with the maximum amount of effort and respect and honor and truthfulness. If you're working on a jet engine for an airplane, it's no better than cutting grass. God's given you a better ability, but you still have to work that job with honor, with integrity, and with all you have. If you're an athlete, you train with honor and integrity and all you have. See, wherever you are in life, give it to God. Don't think you have to have more to offer the Lord. What is in thine hand? Ponder that. What's in your hand right now that you can give God? And Lord willing, I'll see you all later.